Hi everybody, welcome to another festive Yarn Scrap Friday with me, Laura, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make these snowflake baubles. Okay, so for this tutorial we are going to need the following materials. First thing you're going to need is a polystyrene ball. Now I picked these up from my local stationery shop. I think they came in like a pack of 10 or 12. These are 70mm, so those 7 centimeters, 70mm polystyrene balls. You can use toy stuffing as well if you prefer. I do recommend using one of these, they're quite useful. And with that we're going to be using some metallic yarn. Now this has a thread weight of 10. With thread weights they can be a little bit confusing. The lower the number, the thicker the yarn. So this is about a 10 thread weight, so it's a fairly thick thread. You could also use a 4-ply fingering yarn as well. So if you're looking up these online, then do check under the 4-ply fingering yarn weights, and with metallic something should come up. So in this video we're going to be using a red and a gold, so we're going to mix it up again. And with that we're going to be using a 2.5mm crochet hook, so quite a small crochet hook. So you can use one around that size, it's fine. And also a pair of scissors and a yarn tapestry needle as well. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so we're going to start off with my red metallic yarn, I think, and we're going to do a little snowflake to begin with. So this is very similar to the little mini snowflake I did, just starts off a little bit different. We're going to do a little slip knot to begin. And then we're going to chain 4. So we're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to chain 4. We're going to put our hook into our first chain to form a loop. So bring the yarn through the first chain and straight through the loop on your hook to join in a little circle your 4 chains. And in the middle of there is a little hole. Don't confuse it with your first chain hole, which can look quite big. Find the center hole. And we're going to work some stitches into there, but the first thing we're going to do is we're going to chain 3. We're going to chain 3 and we're going to count that as a double crochet. So this pattern's in US terminology, so in UK terminology that would be a treble. We're going to count that as a double crochet. And into the center of our 4 chain loop, at the bottom of those chains, we are going to work 14 double crochets. So we're going to yarn over and we're going to go into the center of our little 4 chain loop, bring the yarn through, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2 to do a double crochet. We're going to do 14 of those, and including our 3 chains we'll have 15 double crochets. So yarn over again and go back into the center, and just wrapping it around the chains we do our double crochet. Okay, so that's going to count that as a double crochet, so those 3 chains, so 1, 2, 3. We want 15 in total. 4, just coming up to the end, 14, and the last one, might have to move them over, squeeze them in, 15. So we've got 14 proper double crochets, and those first 3 chains, whoops, the ball's going everywhere, the first 3 chains are counting as a double crochet, so in total you have 15 stitches. Okay, 15 double crochets. Just going to pull that tail end, bring in that loop, bring in that hole a little bit. Then what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into the top of our 3 chain. So find your 3 chains at the beginning. 1, 2, 3, and in that top one we're going to slip stitch into there. As neatly as you can. Be careful not to work into that first double crochet. Okay, to join the round. So by the end of that round you should have a stitch count of 15. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to chain 5. So this is going to be similar to our mini snowflake. We're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to chain 5 and we're going to slip stitch into our third chain. So this one in the middle, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This third chain, we're going to slip stitch into that. So put your hook into that middle chain and bring the yarn through the middle chain and straight through the loop on your hook. And that creates a little picot at the end. And then we're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. We're going to chain 2. We're going to slip stitch into that same chain again. So go back into that third chain again, do a little slip stitch, and we're going to repeat that again. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and we're going to slip stitch into that third chain again, the same chain again. It's big, it's quite a big hole now. Slip stitch into there, bring the yarn through and straight through the loop on your hook. So you end up with 3 little picots on the end. Then we're going to chain 2 again, 1 and 2, and we're going to slip stitch into the same stitch when we join the rounds, this top of our third chain. Okay, top of our third chain, back on the main circle. Let's go back into there at the bottom of all your little point of your snowflake and do a little slip stitch in there. Okay, so you end up with your first snowflake point here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch, which is our first double crochet actually. Slip stitch into there. Then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. And we're going to slip stitch in the next stitch over. Okay, that creates like a little 3 chain loop picot there. Then we're going to slip stitch in the next stitch and repeat all these steps. So slip stitch into the next stitch and create your next snowflake point. So we chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, chain 5. Find the third chain, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, the one in the middle, and slip stitch into there. Do a little slip stitch, then chain 2 and slip stitch into that third chain again, which becomes quite big. Chain 2 and slip stitch into that third chain again. So you've got your 3 little picots on the end. Then we chain 2 again and we slip stitch in the same stitch below, same stitch below. Should join. Okay, and that's our second little snowflake point. And then we repeat these steps in the middle. So we slip stitch in the next stitch, chain 3, slip stitch in the next stitch, and then slip stitch in the next stitch to start again. We're going to keep doing this until we've got 5 points on our snowflake. Okay, so we're going to do our next point now. So we chain 5, 4, 5, slip stitch in the third chain in the middle, chain 2, slip stitch, always make sure this is facing the right way as well, that way. Slip stitch in the third chain again, chain 2, slip stitch in the third chain. So you've got 3 picots on the end. Okay, then chain 2, make sure you're facing the right direction, and slip stitch in the same stitch below on the main circle. That's our next point. Here we go. Then we do the bit in the middle, slip stitch in the next stitch, chain 3, slip stitch in the next stitch, and then slip stitch in the next stitch. Okay, and then we're on next points, chain 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, slip stitch in the third chain, so 1, 2, 3, chain 2, slip stitch in that third chain again, chain 2, slip stitch in that third chain again, chain 2, and slip stitch in the same stitch below. So that's our fourth one. Then the bit in between, slip stitch in the next stitch, chain 3, slip stitch in the next stitch, slip stitch in the next stitch, and do the last point. Okay, so on our last one now, chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, slip stitch in the third chain, chain 2, slip stitch in the third chain, chain 2, slip stitch in that third chain of those 5 again, chain 2, slip stitch on the main, making sure you're facing the right direction, then slip stitch in the next stitch, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and slip stitch in that next last stitch. Okay, and there you've finished the first bit, which creates a beautiful snowflake in itself. But then what we're going to do is we're going to create the next part. We're going to join our next colour. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch up to the top of this first point. And so what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch in the same stitch below here, which is that top of our third chain again at the beginning. Slip stitch into there. Then we're going to slip stitch in the gap between these two chains either side. So this gap here, we're going to slip stitch into there. Probably going to do that a couple of times. So go in there again, slip stitch into there. Just do it neatly. Then slip stitch into this third chain gap, which is quite big now. That third chain space. Then we're going to slip stitch in the top point, this top picot in the middle. Just try and put your hook into the top of there as neatly as you can. It can be a little bit tricky. Just do it as neatly as you can. We're going to slip stitch into there. Okay, so we just slip stitch up to the top of this point. Now we're at the very top. We're going to join our next colour. So I'm going to get the gold. Got the gold now, and I'm just going to place that over my hook. Hold that in place and bring that through my loop. And then I'm going to pull my red. Pull the gold tail end. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off with one single crochet. So in UK terminology, that's a double crochet. One single crochet in the same top, this little bit that you've just slip stitched into at the top. I'm going to go back into there again and do a little single crochet as neatly as you can. Just at the top. So you don't have a proper stitch to work into, but you just need to grab a bit of yarn at the top, and in there we'll do a little single crochet. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do 4 treble crochets in our 3 chain space in the middle down here. So in UK terminology, that's going to be a double treble. So we're going to yarn over twice, wrap the yarn around your hook twice. Okay, then we're going to put our hook into this 3 chain loop in between our snowflake points in there. Bring the yarn through that 3 chain space. And then with a double crochet or bigger, in US terminology, we just yarn over and pull through 2 until we get to the end. So yarn over, pull for the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull for the next 2 loops, and yarn over, pull for the last 2 loops. and that creates a treble crochet. We need 4 of those in this little 3 chain space. We're going to do that again. Wrap the yarn around your hook twice, go back into that 3 chain space, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, so our second one. This gold is looking very bling. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, and one more. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, so we've got 4 trebles in that little 3 chain space. Then we need to find the top of our next snowflake point. So find that middle picot at the top, and as neatly as you can, try and grab a bit of yarn onto your hook. Like so, and in there we're going to do 3 single crochet. So 1, 2, 3. So I don't have a proper stitch to work into, I'm just grabbing a bit of yarn at the top of that point and working 3 single crochet. Then find your next 3 chain space and do 4 trebles in there again. I'm just going to repeat this all the way around, doing 3 single crochets at the top of our snowflake points and 4 trebles in the 3 chain spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Then find the next picot at the top of your next point. Try and grab a bit of yarn at the top as neatly as you can, and as central as you can, and do 3 single crochet. 1, 2, 3. And then again back to 4 trebles in the 3 chain space in between, and just repeat that all the way around back to the beginning. Okay, it's just coming up to the last treble. That tail end out the way. 2, pull through 2, and then we're back at the beginning where we started. And if you remember, we did 1 single crochet at the top here, and so we're going to go back into there, into that little bit of red yarn that you grabbed when you joined your gold yarn. You can find it again, and once you've gone back into there, we're going to do 2 single crochet to make it up to 3. 1 and 2. There we go. Then we're going to slip stitch into that first single crochet that we did. So that first single crochet, just slip stitch into there. We're going to keep working with the gold for now. You should see that it starts to just pop out a little bit towards you, starting to get its circular shape. Okay, so moving on to the next round, what we're going to do now is we're going to slip stitch into the space between our single crochets and these trebles. This big gap here in between the gold and the red point, we're going to slip stitch into this gap. Just do a little slip stitch in there. Then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to count that as a double crochet, or in UK terminology, a treble. Okay, count that as a double crochet. And then we're going to do 4 double crochet in this gap as well. So go back into this gap again and do 4 double crochet. 1, move them over. 2, 3, and 4. So 4 double crochet, and including those chains becomes 5 double crochets. Then we are going to slip stitch in between. So find your 4 trebles, and in the middle of, split them in half, and in the middle gap between your trebles we're going to do a slip stitch. Okay, like so. Then find the next gap between your trebles and your single crochets, the next gap between the gold and the red, and do 5 double crochets in there. 5 double crochets in there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 double crochets in there. Okay, so you get this sort of effect. We're going to repeat that all the way round. So find the next gap between the red and the gold here, and do 5 double crochets in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets in there, and then again find your 4 trebles, and in between your trebles, the gap in between, we're going to do a slip stitch. Okay, little slip stitch. Okay, then find the next gap between the gold and the red, between your trebles and your single crochets, and do 5 double crochet, and just repeat this all the way round. 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then just repeat that again, starting in the next gap between the red and the gold. Do 5 double crochets. So I'll just do this and then I'll come back. 1, 2. Okay, just going up to the very last gap between the last bit of red and gold. 5 double crochet in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then to finish, we're just going to slip stitch into the top of our 3 chain we did at the beginning. 1, 2, 3. Find that 3rd chain. Slip stitch into there. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this, which looks very pretty in itself. But then we're going to move on to the next round. So you've done this part here, now we're going to move on to this next round. So we're going to change colour again. So what we're going to do is we are going to just yarn over with our red again. We're going to bring up our red from here. I haven't cut off the red from before. I'm just going to hook that through my little loop, bring the gold down, bring the red down. So now we're working with the red again. And what we're going to do is we're going to start off with chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. So chain 3, end up with chain 4 in total, but this first one disappears a little bit. So chain 3, I'm going to count that as a double crochet. Then we're going to do 3 double crochet in the 3rd double crochet along. So we're going to count those first 3 as a double crochet. So 1, 2, 3. So these 5 double crochets we did here, these gold ones, find the one in the middle, yarn over, and into that top stitch, that middle double crochet, we're going to do 3 double crochet. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3 double crochet in that 3rd double crochet of your 5, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do a treble in between. Remember we did this slip stitch in between these 4 trebles on this row. What we're going to do is we're going to yarn over twice and do a treble in that same gap between these 4 trebles. So come all the way down here to this last row but one, and then just wrapping it around that little slip stitch, we're going to do a treble. Okay, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, like so. Then we're going to do 3 double crochet in the middle double crochet of these 5. So 1, 2, 3, find that middle one, and do 3 double crochet in there. 1, 2, 3. Then we're going to do 1 double crochet in the gap between these sets of 5. Okay, so you've got the 5 gold double crochets here and the 5 gold double crochets here. Find the gap in between, so in the middle, just in there, we're going to do 1 double crochet, just 1. Okay, which is the same as these 3 chains here. And we just repeat that all the way around. So find the middle, the 3rd double crochet of these 5. 1, 2, 3, and in the middle of there we do 3 double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Then we do a treble in the same gap as that slip stitch all the way down here. So in between these 4 trebles down here, bring the yarn all the way down there, just wrapping it around the slip stitch, we do a treble. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Then 3 double crochet in the middle of these 5, central stitch. 1, 2, 3, and then 1 double crochet in the space between these 2 sets of 5 double crochet. So find that gap in between and do just the 1 double crochet. Okay, we're going to repeat that all the way around, alternating between 3 double crochet, then just 1 double crochet, 3 double crochet, then that treble all the way down, back to the beginning. So then we go back to 3 double crochet in that 3rd double crochet, 1, 2, 3. Then we do that treble where that slip stitch went all the way down here. Three double crochet in the middle. Then 1 double crochet in between your sets of 5. Okay, and then do that again. 3 double crochet in the middle, and then we're pretty much back at the beginning. 2, 3. So we're going to slip stitch in the top of these 3 chains that we did at the beginning. So find your 3rd chain as neatly as you can and just slip stitch into there to join the round. So keep it popping out towards you, starting to look like a little funky hat. And then we're going to move on to the next round, and we're going to stick with the red for now. Okay, so moving on to the next round, what we're going to do is we're going to slip stitch into this gap here. So this gap just below, in between that 1 double crochet, or those 3 chains and those 3 double crochet. Slip stitch into there, and then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. We're going to count that as a double crochet, and in that same gap below we do a 1 double crochet. Okay, just 1 double crochet in there. Then we're going to do 1 double crochet in the middle stitch of these 3. So we yarn over and find this middle double crochet, and in there, that stitch, we're going to do 1 double crochet. Okay, 1 double crochet in there. Then we're going to do 2 double crochet in this next gap between these 3 double crochet and this treble, this gap here. We do 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. Just 2. Then we're going to do 2 in the next gap the other side as well. 2 double crochet in there as well. and 2. Okay, so you've got 2 in that gap and then 2 in this gap, and to repeat that all the way around. So do 1 double crochet in the center of this double crochet in that stitch at the top, just the one, and then a double crochet in this gap, 2 double crochet in that gap, 1 and another one in the same gap, then 2 double crochet in the next gap, the other side of that double crochet, 1 and 2. Okay, 2 in there, 2 in there, then 1 double crochet in the middle of these 3 double crochets. Now you're up to treble, you do 2 double crochet in there and 2 double crochet in there, in this gap, and just repeat this all the way around. 1 and 2, then 2 in there, 1 and 2. Then you back up to your 3 double crochets. We do 1 double crochet in that middle stitch. Then we're up to 2 double crochet, 2 double crochet in the gaps either side of that double crochet. 1, another one in that gap, 2, so you've got 2 double crochet in there, and then 2 double crochet in the gap the other side. And 2. Then 1 double crochet in that center stitch, and then 2 double crochet in there, 2 double crochet in there, and repeat that all the way around back to the beginning. Okay, just going up to the end, do that 1 double crochet in the center of those 3, and then 2 double crochet in this last gap. And then we slip stitch into the top of our 3 chain to join the round. Okay, that should look a little something like this, and then we're going to bring back our gold colour. Okay, so moving on to nearly the end, we're going to slip stitch into this gap, this next gap here. But instead of yarning over with the red, we're going to bring back the gold through that gap. Okay, and then just pull that red, make sure that's nice and tight. And we're going to chain 3 to begin. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to do 1 double crochet in each gap around. Okay, so find the next gap. We're going to do just one double crochet in each gap around. So find the next gap and do that all the way around, doing 1 double crochet in between each previous double crochet, those little gaps. Okay. It's quite a simple round. Okay, so just repeat that all the way around, doing 1 double crochet in between each previous double crochet all the way back to the beginning. Okay, just going up to the very last gap. Then we're back to our chain 3 and we're just going to slip stitch into the top of our chain 3. Okay, so you should have something that looks like this. Then we're going to cut our yarn, cut both our red and our gold, and we're going to repeat these steps for the other side. So we're going to repeat all these steps for the other side because it's going to join this side, but we're going to add an extra round on the second one because here one side has just one row that we've just done here. This is the same as this, but we just need to add an extra row for this side to get it to fit. So repeat all those steps and then I'll join you on that last round. Okay. Okay, so I've repeated all those steps again, so I've got 2 of these, but on the second one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to repeat the last round. So I'm just going to slip stitch over to that first gap, chain 3, 2, 3, and I'm going to do 1 double crochet in between each previous double crochet. So just find that next gap, not the stitch, next gap, and do 1 double crochet. And do 1 double crochet in each gap around back to the beginning. So this is just on the second half. We're going to do 2 of these rounds instead of just 1. Okay, so just 1 double crochet in each gap around. Okay, so just coming up to the end, the last gap. Then that one's got the 3 chains in it, so I'm going to slip stitch into that 3rd chain. And then I'm going to cut my yarn. I'm going to leave a little bit for sewing and for hanging as well. So leave a little bit of a tail and then cut the red and just pull that through. And I'm just going to turn this inside out and I'm going to secure these tail ends just by double knotting them gently. I'm not going to pull too tightly because it will distort the shape of the ball, but I'm just going to double knot them loosely so they don't come undone. Okay, like that. And then this one you can sew in if you want to, but we're going to use this for sewing them together. So I'm going to turn this the right way around, and all that's left to do now is to bring in our ball. So as you can see, this side is smaller than this side. This one's slightly longer, and that's so that they fit together when we sew them together. So don't worry if there's a slight gap here. This will pull together nicely and create a nice fit. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to thread on our yarn needle, if I can find it. On my yarn needle, and the first thing I'm going to do on here at the end of this is just going to sew through that 3rd chain just to bring that in. Okay, then get your ball. Like I said, these are 70mm balls, 7 centimeters, and then you want to line up your ends. Put those together, and all we're going to do is we're going to sew them together basically. So I'm going to go in 1 stitch at the top and out 1 stitch at the bottom, secure that, and do the same for the next stitch. Go up to the top again, down to the bottom, up to the top again, down to the bottom. So I'm going to do this all the way around back to the beginning, and then we'll create a little bit for hanging it, and then it's finished. So just up to the top and down to the bottom, and back up to the top and down to the bottom. Okay. Okay, so I'm just coming back to the beginning, still going from the top to the bottom, and you should have a stitch count of 50 either side, so they should match up pretty well. Then do it as neatly as you can when you get back to the beginning. Okay, and then when you're finished, we're going to use the remaining yarn to create a loop so we can hang up our decoration. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to sew into a little bit of the project, but I'm going to pull up the loop once it unravels. Okay, so So I want to keep a loop of about that much. Okay, and then just hold that in place and use the remaining yarn to secure that by carry on sewing. Just keep sewing till it stops pulling. I can just trim down the rest. Ready? And trim down whatever's left. Make sure that your loop's secure. You can always knot it down here if you want to as well. But there we go, that is the end of our little snowflake bauble. And you can make these in all different glittery colours. I've got one in gold and silver, and also made one with the red and a green as well. So there we go. And you can pick up these glittery yarns online. You can get them online. I think I found these in my local Hobbycraft. I think I found these, so they're quite easy to get hold of. But you can use a 4-ply yarn, or you could use a yarn thread of 10. They should fit. But there we go, have fun, experiment. I hope you've managed to follow along, and I'll see you soon for some more crochet fun. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.